In this video, you will see creepy encounters of people with animals. During a tour of the South African safari, the tourists thought it was their last holiday when a hostile, aggressive elephant began to chase them. In the beginning, it probably seemed like a very ordinary encounter with an elephant, which did not foreshadow trouble, until the animal began to issue warning signs of aggression.
Being very territorial right now.
Can we just back up?
No, look at him. See, he's showing.
Fortunately, the guide, having seen this message, so to speak, begins to leave there. Not wanting to lose sight of the territory violators, the elephant immediately begins to chase the car. The group of tourists, still pursued by the elephant, for obvious reasons, begin to panic. Unwilling to risk the animal being able to catch up with them, the guide turns right and goes beyond the expensive ones. And it seems to discourage the elephant from continuing the chase as it begins to slow down and eventually stops.
Uh-oh, he's gonna head us off.
Can we get out of here?
No,
I want to go out of here. My heart was racing.
It's hard to imagine what would have happened if this aggressive elephant had caught up with the car. And I hope that these tourists realize how lucky they are. The video begins with a man in a cage with sharks recording his experience of diving to depth in a dark and dangerous ocean. A man waiting for sharks to surround his cage, but his expectations are quickly dispelled when an aggressive and hungry shark makes an unexpected move. But despite this, the shark gets stuck in a cage and is unable to free itself. It begins to panic. Fortunately, after that, the shark manages to turn out its mouth and free itself, and then swims away. Another frightening encounter with animals begins with a demonstration of a recording of fishermen engaged in underwater hunting in deep Australian waters. The video shows one of the fishermen trying to pull out the fish he speared while the larger fish tries to drag away his catch. Initially, this fish does not pose any problems for fishermen, but everything changes when unwanted guests join the process. Thinking that it will no longer be worse, the fisherman simply continues to shoot everything on camera and at one moment is frightened when this happens. Surprisingly, they remain calm, while near them hungry sharks eat their fish. Thankfully, that madness ended within minutes and people swam away from there unharmed. The next video is back in the safari park. 2 cars loaded with tourists met with a huge elephant. At the beginning, you can see how an elephant near the car is busy eating leaves from a tree. Well, after all, the animal quickly notices the tourists and decides to get closer. As soon as the animal begins to approach, the guide immediately tries to leave, in order to protect himself and the tourists, for whom he is responsible. Unfortunately, the jeep, who was driving in front of them, seems to block their road. Tourists in the car immediately begin to bend down in order to prevent eye contact with this huge animal, as this can very easily provoke it.
Sit down.
Sit down.
See, it's very close.
While tourists remain in the car, the elephant will roam next to the jeep for several more minutes. Eventually, trying to demonstrate his power, the elephant even swings his tusks at a nearby tree. The elephant will look at the tourists for a few more minutes and then go far away. A trip to Jim Corbett National Park quickly turned into the worst trip for tourists after the group came face to face with an aggressive and dangerous elephant. At the beginning of the video, a herd of elephants are shown walking with their elephants, while a group of tourists rides after them to photograph the animals. At first, the group keeps a safe distance from the elephants, but unfortunately, one of the jeeps drives too close to the herd, provoking the animal to act. Despite the terrible appearance of a huge animal rushing towards them, the group manages to retreat far enough that the elephant would stop chasing them. Fortunately for tourists, the animal stopped chasing them. This gorilla, when meeting tourists, takes unexpected and frightening actions. After the first attack, the giant primate does not leave the group alone and continues to pursue a tourist trying to photograph him.
Come this way. Don't worry, don't worry. Don't run, don't run.
Trying not to aggravate the situation, tourists make their movements as quiet and slower as possible so as not to anger the gorilla even more. It seems that this really works, and the animal slowly begins to leave, but unfortunately the gorilla decides to show them the last act of aggression. Fortunately, he let the woman go pretty quickly without causing any harm. What was originally supposed to be a routine encounter with an elephant soon nearly turned into a final encounter. At the beginning of the video, several cars can be seen trying to drive past the giant elephant, blocking their path. After some time, the elephant decides to retreat and let the cars drive, but only one car passes while the others decide to stay. While the elephant is walking along the road, the second and third cars decide to leave too. I think it is already safe. And then the animal decides to do it. Unfortunately, at this moment the video ends, and what happened next remains a secret. The video was filmed by tourists in Kruger National Park. In the recording, you can see a large elephant in the middle of the road rebirth their path. When the animal spots humans, it immediately targets and begins to go in their direction with a threatening appearance.
Ja, sta maar stil.
Holy fuck.
Fortunately, they managed to drive away and increase the distance between them and the elephant. But this will not prevent the majestic animal from proving its superiority.
Achter.
And when the elephant finally gets out of the way, the group tries to drive away and calmly continue their journey. But then something absolutely shocking happens.
We gaan weg, ik vind het best hier.
Rustig, rustig, rustig. Rijden, achteruit, achteruit. Annemarie naar voren rijden. Nee, achteruit.
Frightened by such actions of the animal, tourists shout away from this place.